I look so much like my dad, maybe not now, but what about if I do this?
Don Knotts brought laughter into millions of homes as the anxious Deputy Barney Fife, earning 5 Emmys and a lasting place in TV history. But behind the humor was a man shaped by a troubled childhood, anxiety, and addiction. Have you ever wondered what pain hides behind a comedian's smile? Now, at 72, his daughter is finally opening up about the struggles he faced, revealing private battles and family hardships long kept in the shadows, offering a deeper look at the man behind the laughter. Childhood turmoil and early imagination. Don Knotts, known for his anxious yet lovable characters, came from a deeply troubled childhood. Born in Morgantown, West Virginia, he grew up in a tense home shaped by poverty and fear. His father struggled with schizophrenia and alcoholism, often becoming violent. While the family had already lost their farm just before Don was born, home rarely felt safe. Don recalled frightening moments, including threats from his father. To cope, he escaped into his imagination, creating a world where he felt in control. That inner refuge would later shape his natural sense of comedy. His relationships with his older brothers were distant and sometimes volatile, but one brother, Sid, stood out. Sid's humor brought light into dark moments and became a major influence on Don. When Sid died suddenly from an asthma attack, it left a lasting emotional impact. One of Don's earliest creative outlets was a dummy named Danny. Through it, he practiced small comedy routines, slowly building confidence. What began as an escape soon became something deeper. Humor wasn't just survival, it became his identity. Morgantown High School provided the environment that allowed Don to develop his personality. He achieved high popularity because he possessed a good sense of humor, which resulted in his classmates electing him as their class president. His popularity hid a deep insecurity, which made him feel both too thin, too poor, and too different from others. His passion for performing stayed with him throughout his life, although he always felt he did not belong. The years between his childhood and his present life made him want to escape from his hometown and build his own identity outside that place. Don moved to Manhattan from his hometown at 18 years old because he wanted to pursue his dreams. He brought only his hope, his dummy, and his determination to New York City. His first audition failed because the city treated him poorly due to his shyness, social awkwardness, and lack of social connections. The busy city environment seemed to plan his destruction, yet he kept fighting. Don returned to his home after experiencing a setback because he discovered an unanticipated new phase of his life. Don joined the United States Army to serve in World War II after his enlistment. He worked in a different capacity, which required him to boost soldier morale while he served at a distance from battle zones. He worked with the 6,817th Special Services Battalion to fulfill his mission, which required him to create laughter for soldiers while he traveled the Pacific to perform in the Stars and Garters variety show. The audience experience allowed him to demonstrate his comedic abilities, which he had kept hidden from others throughout his life. Don received his discharge from the military as a technician grade 5 who held the same rank as corporal when he had already received several military medals and gained battlefield experience, which helped him develop confidence and stage presence. The veteran returned to college, where he discovered his passion for performing through his dedication to West Virginia University shows, while he developed his artistic talents. The intersection of his personal and professional paths began at this location. The transition from childhood hardship to early adult determination set the foundation for Don's career, but the road ahead would still be full of challenges and breakthroughs. From small town to stage dreams, Don Knotts' journey from a small West Virginia town to the bright lights of New York and beyond was far from smooth, but marked by plenty of grit and persistence. After World War II, armed with a degree in education and a minor in speech, Don was ready to chase his ambition of becoming a performer. His experiences entertaining troops had ignited a passion, but entering the competitive entertainment world remained daunting. His first attempts in New York were difficult. Without strong connections or conventional looks, the audition room was an unforgiving place for a nervous young man with unconventional timing. Yet, he found a foothold in radio, landing a recurring role on the children's Western program Bobby Benson and the B-Bar B-Riders. Playing Windy Wales, a sharp-tongued, fast-speaking character, Don began to hone his comedic skills and build an audience. Television soon became the next platform for Don, as he secured a regular role on the soap opera Search for Tomorrow from 1953 to 1955. Although the role wasn't comedic, it introduced him to millions of Americans and gave him valuable on-camera experience. This was a crucial step, transitioning from radio and stage to the rapidly growing TV industry. A turning point arrived in 1956 when Don joined the Steve Allen Show's comedy ensemble. The audience developed a strong affection for his twitchy, bug-eyed, nervous man persona, which he created from his personal anxiety and transformed into a comedic performance. His performances established the nervous energy and exact timing that became his signature style. His ability to turn personal nervousness into relatable and hilarious characters set him apart from others in the field. Don and Andy Griffith developed both friendship and a professional partnership at this time. The two actors performed together on Broadway from 1955 until 1957 in No Time for Sergeants, where Don played multiple roles, including a bumbling corporal. His performance in the play became his breakout role after the production was transformed into a 1958 film. Their partnership established the foundation that built one of television's most beloved duos. The partnership continued, leading directly to The Andy Griffith Show in 1960. Don jokingly suggested to Andy that the show needed a deputy, and with Griffith's help, Don landed the role of Barney Fife. The character's paranoia, awkwardness, and humor became iconic, resonating across America. Don received 5 Emmy Awards for this role, which brought him national recognition and fulfilled his long-standing dream of making it big in the industry. Don achieved professional success, but his personal life encountered difficulties. Reports suggested his wife, Catherine Metz, struggled to connect with the environment surrounding the show, and their marriage eventually ended after 13 years. The intense filming schedule and Don's growing fame created strains beneath the public's cheerful view of his career. Don Knotts had already established himself as a comedic legend who won over audiences with his nervous charm. His rise from small-town boy with a dummy to Emmy-winning star was a testament to his perseverance and innate talent. A story that only deepened when we consider the personal battles lying just below the surface. Breakthrough and rise to fame. Don Knotts' true breakthrough was not just landing roles, but embodying a unique comedic persona that became instantly recognizable. His nervous, twitchy characters struck a chord with viewers, offering a fresh and genuine brand of humor. This persona drew heavily from his own life, where anxiety and self-doubt had long been companions, transforming vulnerability into laughter. His pairing with Andy Griffith was a defining chapter, blending Don's skittish Barney Fife with Griffith's steady Sheriff Taylor to create an unmatched on-screen balance. Their friendship extended beyond cameras, starting on Broadway and moving into television, where their performances on The Andy Griffith Show became legendary. The chemistry between them helped elevate the show to immense popularity. Don's work on the show won him 5 Emmy Awards, a reflection not just of his comic timing, but of his ability to make audiences feel the humanity behind the humor. Barney Fife was more than a caricature. He was lovable in his earnestness and flustered antics. This role became a cultural touchstone, serving as Don's signature character and the highlight of his career. The media attention he received brought both fame and its accompanying disadvantages to his daily activities. Don needed to use medication because of his increased anxiety problems, which developed through his growing career in show business. The part of his personality that the audience found charming to watch on screen actually caused him sickness, together with severe emotional distress when he stayed in private areas. The production schedule of television shows, together with their constant demands, placed excessive stress on him. Don left the show in 1965 because he assumed the show would end after 5 seasons, but the show continued without him. He pursued multiple projects in the film industry, but his attempts failed to achieve the same level of success that he reached during his early partnership with Griffith. His departure from the company resulted from 2 factors, which included his need for professional growth and his requirement to fulfill personal obligations. Don maintained his connection to the character through guest roles, which established a permanent association with the show that made him famous. His work as a comedian continues to shape modern comedy, while his personal journey of overcoming obstacles through humor still brings eternal happiness to audiences. Behind every smile was a deeper struggle, one that colors the story of Don Knotts in profound ways. Personal struggles behind the spotlight. Behind the infectious laughter Don Knotts brought to screens, his personal life was often marked by quiet battles with anxiety and addiction. Long before his rise to fame, Don struggled with overwhelming nerves that, at times, left him unable to get out of bed for hours or even days before a performance. He famously portrayed nervous characters on stage and screen, but those roles mirrored real-life fears that haunted him deeply. His pre-performance anxiety was so intense that doctors prescribed medication during the 1950s to help manage it. Like many performers wrestling with anxiety, Don's reliance on medication grew into a troubling dependency. The pills were a double-edged sword, offering relief but also complicating his ability to cope naturally. This struggle with addiction added a darker layer beneath his comedic exterior, highlighting the challenges of maintaining public success while wrestling with private demons. His bouts of hypochondria, where he convinced himself he was seriously ill despite clear health, also interfered with his daily functioning and contributed to emotional turmoil. Don's personal relationships bore the weight of his internal battles. His first marriage to Catherine Metz, which began promisingly, eventually deteriorated under the strain of his growing fame and private struggles. Reports suggest that his wife found it difficult to connect with the world Don inhabited, particularly amidst the demanding schedule and pressures of filming The Andy Griffith Show. Their marriage ended after 13 years and 2 children, reflecting a painful disconnect between his public persona and private reality. Don experienced 2 opposing life pressures when he dealt with performance obligations and his marriage. The 2 conditions that affected him most showed common symptoms that matched his anxiety disorder. His mental health treatment showed him that he lost faith in God and his future after he experienced severe mental health problems, which made him curse God during his therapy sessions. His mental health challenges reached their peak when he experienced psychological distress, which made him believe that his achievements would not help him escape his problems. The reason he left The Andy Griffith Show in 1965 was his desire to pursue professional goals, which forced him to regain power over his work situation. Don left the show because he wanted to join Universal for a film contract, which the show continued without him. His personal reasons for leaving the company related to his ongoing battle with tiredness and worry. Don pursued jobs in television and film, but The Andy Griffith Show remained his biggest achievement, which brought him both critical success and audience love. The Love God showed his acting abilities through which he tried to develop his performance method, but his work failed to advance his professional prospects. His previous role as a clumsy sidekick established the acting pattern that made it hard for him to succeed as a sophisticated bachelor, according to his fans. This career frustration added to his personal trials. Don established his image as a womanizer through his continuous dating and party attendance activities, which conflicted with his mental health battle. The combination of his disorganized lifestyle and career setbacks indicated that he required both social connections and a way to escape his present circumstances. His pursuit of love and stability actually made him more exhausted from a decade of intense social activities. As his life moved forward, new challenges would emerge that tested him beyond what audiences had ever seen. Later, life challenges and love. Don Knotts experienced health issues during his advanced age that completely transformed his personal existence and professional perspective. His medical condition advanced to macular degeneration, which threatened his eyesight and his performance career. The fear of losing sight plunged him into a deep depression, which affected his ability to perform because he needed to show emotions through his face and use precise timing. The diagnosis became a critical point in his life, which led him to experience both mental and physical breakdown. The impact on his personal life was profound. At the time, Don was married to Loralee Chuchna, but the emotional toll the diagnosis exacted took a serious strain on their relationship. After nearly a decade together, the mounting pressures of his health and deteriorating mental state contributed to their divorce in 1983. Loralee Chuchna later revealed that Don's dramatic response to impending blindness played a significant role in ending their marriage. Fortunately, Don received top medical care that ultimately restored his vision through surgery, offering him a reprieve from the complete loss of sight. This victory, however, was tempered by other struggles looming on the horizon. Don's lifelong vice of smoking, once a common habit in Hollywood, had already done its damage, and despite quitting over a decade earlier, he was later diagnosed with lung cancer in the early 2000s. Even as the diagnosis became grim, Don faced it with remarkable optimism, known for shielding his family from the full weight of his illness. He kept a cheerful facade, maintaining his comedic spirit and making light of serious circumstances, a reflection of the same humor that defined his entire life. His belief in beating the disease encouraged him to continue with life changes, hoping to embrace the time he had left. The couple married in 2002 because their romantic bond became essential for Don's last years. Although they shared a wide age gap, their relationship developed into a deep connection through which she detected his inner self that nobody else had known. Don found the companionship and love he had been searching for throughout his life when he married his second wife. Don experienced a health deterioration, which resulted from his cancer advancing to the point that he needed to leave the hospital for home treatment. Until his passing, he maintained his typical cheerful personality while suffering from a more severe medical condition. He maintained his role as a performer until his passing because he wanted to bring others the same happiness that he demonstrated throughout his professional life. After he died in 2006, Francis Yarborough became the owner of his estate, which contained both physical assets and the joyful memories of his life and his unyielding spirit. Don Knotts experienced a life journey that contained both massive achievements and major setbacks, which included moments of exceptional talent along with his personal, hidden suffering. Life's final chapters revealed as much about Don Knotts' strength as his stage presence. Legacy and Daughter's Revelation. Don Knotts faced his final moments at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, Los Angeles, the same way he lived, through laughter. Despite his fragile condition, he continued joking, lifting the spirits of everyone around him. His daughter, Karen Knotts, stayed beside him, holding his hands as humor and heartbreak blended into one unforgettable goodbye. In one moment, Don said something so funny that both Karen and his wife burst into laughter. Overwhelmed, Karen stepped out, unsure how to feel about laughing while losing him. Years later, she shared this memory, realizing that laughter was his final gift, his way of comforting those he loved most. Howard Storm, a close friend of hers, told her that Don would have received perfect honor through her choice to stay and laugh. She discovered that he desired her to experience happiness through the process of mourning his death. Don had comedy as his profession, yet it represented his core identity. His family background, especially through his brother, provided the basis for all of his natural humor. Karen described it as something instinctive, a force that defined his identity and helped him overcome life's struggles. Don performed for his audience until his last moments, and he created a performance that made people laugh instead of feeling sad about his death. The joy he brought to millions of people represents his true legacy, which extends beyond his awards and his famous role as Barney Fife. In his final hours, Andy Griffith visited him, quietly reaffirming their lifelong friendship. Don responded with a slight movement, showing he understood. The same warmth and connection that defined his life carried him through his final goodbye. And in that quiet exchange, his story ended exactly as it was lived, with heart, humor, and lasting connection. Don Knotts' story shows us that behind the laughter often lies profound struggle, but also remarkable resilience. His daughter's heartfelt revelations give us a window into the man beyond the comedy, reminding us how humor can be both a shield and a gift. If you appreciated this story, please like and subscribe for more inspiring journeys behind the spotlight. Share your favorite Don Knotts moment in the comments below, and don't miss the story waiting for you right on your screen next.